Good morning. I haven't done a morning session in ages, so I'm actually looking forward to this and seeing how many more people turn up, and it might change some of the things we do, James. So, yeah, it should be fun. Look, there is a little bit of a ramble time. I didn't tell you this beforehand, off air, but 90 seconds is normally what I give people a chance to join. So I usually try and find something to ramble about, and just sit here and wait quietly. And as I don't really like my silence, I ramble.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, the uncomfortable silence. Yeah, I've been in some sessions where they've had the masters of uncomfortable silence when they ask a question and they will wait and wait and wait. And I'm normally the one that will speak.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not normally the one that will put myself forward at all times. So
yeah,
I just don't like the uncomfortable silence.
It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. And then sometimes I don't even like the sound of my own voice. I don't know why I do it, but I just have to do something. But yeah, about another 30 seconds. But if you are here and you're listening already, please say hello in the comments. Tell us where you're coming from. Sometimes we have issues, and the people who comment, you don't see their name. So you can, if that happens, I'll just say, look, we don't know who you are. Please add your name as well, just so we know who we're talking to. But please, throughout this whole conversation, ask questions, because your questions will be better than mine. Because you've got better lived experience potentially, and all you got insights you want to know. So please do jump on, get involved, because James will be able to help, I hope. Mate, no pressure.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. If the questions are better than yours, let's see that their answers might be better than mine.
Potentially.
Yeah.
We never know, right? Look, we'll get started. Thank you if you are here for joining. Thank you, James, for also being on here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. For twofold, looking at well-being from a different angle and making it proactive, which I think is being a message which is not new, but actually seeing what people are, how you at Siemens, such a large organization, are trying to do that and make it a proactive thing. Which is great. Hi, Fernando. Yes, we are live. Thanks for joining us. In Spain, probably weather's slightly better than here, I can imagine as well, right?
Gosh, yeah.
Hi, Helen. Thanks for joining. From Liverpool, a little bit closer to you, so hopefully just as warm. Sun's out. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Looking at kind of well-being at Siemens, understanding what you guys are doing, understanding how you're making it a proactive initiative, and learning from that strategy and how you're implementing it and what you're doing for your people. So really looking forward to this conversation. Before we get into that, let's do some introductions. I'm going to get mine out of the way so I can get over to you and we can start this. So for the guys who don't know who I am, my name is Rich. I am a high-performance executive coach, leadership trainer and team trainer, helping organizations create great people, teams, and leadership. I also own a company called Employees Health, which is a well-being education company, which helps teams understand how to look after their well-being. That's kind of me. Obviously, I don't want this to be a sales pitch. If you want to know more, drop me a line. We can do that off air. Over to the main man, James. Rather than me butcher your introduction, James, I'm going to let you do it, because then I can't get blamed for the butchering.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me on anyway, Rich. I appreciate it. Yeah, so James Dybell. I'm currently head of EHS for Siemens PLC, so based in the UK. I live in the northwest of England as well, for those that are listening in. Been in safety for, more years than I care to remember, but fell into it, I suppose, would be one of the ways of saying it, when no one would step forward to take part and assist in risk assessments. Way back when, it fell to me.
How many years ago is that?
22 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was working for a brewery at the time, based down in London, and they wanted someone so we could bring accounts on a lot quicker to support the sales team and risk assess accounts. And everyone took a step backwards, and I was the only one stepped left forward. So I ended up doing the risk assessment training and everything, and sort of fell into it that way and got the bug and thought, oh, actually, this is something that can actually make a difference into how we operate. So yeah, I worked for a brewery for a number of years, progressed doing different safety things, manual handling training, etc. Worked in ship repair, worked in oil and gas, and then from my time in Siemens, which has been nearly 14 years within Siemens, I've had various roles as well, Rich. So I came in as a health and safety manager, then got environmental added on, then got facilities and security and engagement and things all added onto my role as I went. And I suppose that's what sort of got my profile recognised in the sort of wider sphere of Siemens, where I joined the central corporate team 3 years ago now as the head of EHS for the UK.
Nice. And within that, obviously, wellbeing fits as well, right?
Yeah, so that's where one of the first tasks I was asked to look at when I came across into the central team was the wellbeing structure and strategy that we have for the UK. So within Siemens, there's a global strategy in place, and it was a question of, okay, well, how are we doing that in the UK? So what are we doing to meet or exceed the requirements of the global strategy? So I was tasked with that as a review process, which then sort of snowballed into actually, I think we need our own localized strategy to meet that strategy, but also meet our own requirements as well.
Yeah, I can imagine you've probably got lots of teams within, lots of organizations within the organization. I can imagine it's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, there's a phrase that Siemens doesn't know what Siemens does. It's that big. It's a big, complex organization, but a great organization at the same time. And yeah, the sort of stakeholder analysis and management is a huge part of it, and finding out the whys and the what ifs and the different nuances within the business. It's easy to sort of throw a cap over these things and go, there we go, done, that'll suit you all. But when you work for a complex organization like Siemens, you realize that you need different strategies and different tactics within your strategy to make sure that you meet the requirements of that. So yeah, complex, good organization.
Yeah, nice. Look, let's look and dive into that wellbeing strategy a little bit more. So you've been involved with it for 3 years. What have you been up to? What's been the kind of the key bits which have stood out for you since that time and act on it?
I suppose it's so the question is why have we arrived at this? We need to be proactive. It's I suppose the first point is it's not just about being proactive. You still need your reactive elements of your well-being strategy. But at Siemens, we did a lot for well-being. We had a lot of people involved in well-being, a lot of strands, but it was going off in sort of different ways at all different times. And it was very much, when I came in, we had a lot of services, we had a lot of things that we were paying for that was costing us money that maybe wasn't being utilized fully or being engaged with at all. And we've sort of taken a bit of an approach where I call it was like we were trying to shoot fish in a barrel and missing every time. Someone would go on a course, let's say a sleep course, improve your sleep, and go, oh, that was good. And then put it out. Let's engage with that external person, put it out, and let's get 20 people on that course, and then 3 would turn up. And we spent a lot of money, and 3 people would turn up. And it was like, why? And the reason being is, we hadn't created the story. We hadn't looked at our own information. We hadn't spoke to our own people and asked them, what do you want? What do we have? What's missing? and why, more importantly, would you like it? And you know, if you're going to do any sort of program cultural change of any type, creating the story is vital to get people on board, and then continuously rewriting that story. And we just didn't have it. You know, people would see and go, well, why do I want to go on a sleep course? There was nothing out there to say, hey, you know what, actually, we've done a survey, or we've spoke to this part of the business, and 60% of respondents said that they had an issue with sleep. And then you would then engage with them 60% to say, oh, that was me. Oh, I'll take part in that. We weren't doing that at all. We were just putting things out and hoping it would land.
Yeah.
And the other side of that was we weren't looking at our information. We wasn't looking at our data deep enough. We had top layer data. We knew mental health was an issue, sickness, EAP calls, occupational health referrals, etc. But we were never asking the why elements of it. So we were just stuck in this spiral of putting a lot of things out, sticking posters up, fruit days, and all these nice things that are part of a strategy, but never got the traction because we never created the story.
So where did you start then? Because to me, there's a few things, and rather than guessing, it'd be interesting to know where you started then to gain that story.
So data, first and foremost, actually looked within our data, spoke to the people that were providing our data to see what more information they could provide us. So could EAP provide us, for example, if people were calling up for work-related, non-work-related, personal, etc. If it was work-related, does it fit into the was it demand relationship, etc., etc. So we could really start to drill down into what our data was telling us. We got out. So when I say we, I've got a fantastic health and wellbeing manager now, Jonathan, on board. We got out and we went round places, and we spoke to people about the wellbeing offering and that we had, and their opinion of how we did wellbeing and how good or bad it was. I found a lot of the time people just weren't aware of the things that we did. It was there. We'd had it for years. You know, we've had an EAP for 15 years. But the amount of people you go out and they wouldn't know who it was with, how to contact it, etc. So we'd sort of missed that vital part of selling the things that we already have, and encouraging engagement with the systems. So yeah, getting out, speaking to people, surveys, road shows, town halls. We probably turned up to the opening of an envelope, sort of thing. It was we were everywhere, and always asking people to engage with us on wellbeing, and did it in a non-judgmental, how dare you not know we've not got an EAP, we've had it for, give us your feedback, and we're just, we're not going to give you the answers now, but we're just going to collate this information to create the picture of the current situation of where we are and where we know we want to be, and how people are or not engaging, as the case may be.
I think that's a really nice start, right? Looking at your data, as you said, and understanding what the data is showing you, but then a lot of people don't engage with the data. And so getting feet on the ground, asking the questions, really taking in that information. And you'll see probably from that, you probably saw quite a lot of different things within the different organizations within the organization, right? And these people who are maybe aren't at the office as much, and maybe out in the cars, maybe doing some of the work, need something completely different, whether that's just the communication of the wellbeing support you have, or whether it's the type of education or the type of support you give. There's going to be a very different need, and actually I think that's a really great place to start when it comes to proactive wellbeing.
Yeah, totally. It's those offline employees, etc., that don't see the push messages all the time through emails and what have you, that you've got to make sure that you're hitting everybody as well as you can. Yes, there's push information and pull information, but it's putting it into a format that's usable for everybody, not just sort of, having it there and putting it out on a social media, internal social media site and say, well, we've posted it on Yammer, sorry, I sit at a power press in the middle of Manchester. I'm never going to see that. So how am I going to ever engage or know that we even take well-being seriously as a subject? And this is the type of feedback that we were getting when we were going out and about. And the thing with the data is, like I alluded to, it's not just creating data or capturing data for data's sake. You've then got to ask the why. So why is mental health in our top 5, or anxiety, or whatever it may be? Why are we seeing the responses that we're seeing to certain situations in certain parts of the business? Not just putting out and going, hey, we know this is our problem, and now we're going to tell you how we're going to fix it. No, this is our problem. We're going to ask you why, and we're going to ask you what you want. Is the more sort of proactive approach to it.
How's going to be the best way to help you here? Yeah.
What would you like to see? Not let us tell you how we're going to solve you. So we were very much in that. You're broke. We will fix you because you're broke, as opposed to
you're a machine. It's easy to fix.
Yeah. No, actually, we will prevent that. Let's try and prevent that from happening together.
I had a question for you.
Oh, sorry.
How receptive and open were those guys, or the teams, to people to give you that information?
Differs, obviously. I mean, I don't want to sit on the fence. We're quite lucky within Siemens. A lot of the time, we are pushing against an open door in a lot of areas. A lot of areas, know that this is a subject that goes across. It's not a standalone subject. It goes across so many parts of the business. Well, it hits into safety. It hits into productivity. It hits into your HR, your sickness, absence, etc. It goes across so many different things. So we were, there was that recognition that if someone's willing to take this on as a subject, then people are going to come on board with it. Don't get me wrong, there's still the people out there, like, I always make a joy. It's like Wellbeing's almost like the sustainability and environmental 10 years ago, when everyone thought we went around and hugged trees. Now everyone thinks we go around and hug people. There's still them people out there. But it's, if we can capture the 80% of those people that we weren't capturing, and start to use that story to change the mindset of other people of, hey, and that's what I was sort of alluding to with, it's all well and good creating the story in the first instance of the data. You've then got to carry that story on into its next chapter and get your testimonials from people, because then the next tranche of people look at that and go, oh, perhaps that did work, because I trust that guy, I work with that guy, I know that person, and he's been on that, or he's took part in a program, or he's engaged with that service, and they've said it's benefited them. So do you know what, I will next time. So you got to write that next chapter as well, and then try and bring the next tranche of people with you. But yeah, it's never easy. Not saying it was like, hey, rainbows and butterflies everywhere we went.
Yeah.
It's difficult conversations, tough conversations, harrowing conversations with some people when that they've had issues, and they're coming to you to say, we've had this issue and I don't think that you helped me. And you just listen and say, okay, well,
what would have helped?
Yeah, stick in the ground. What would have helped? What can we do, and what can we do in partnership with you to bring them improvements to yourself? Because ultimately, it's about our people thriving, and that's what we want. We want our people to thrive in work. We want people to come to work and get something out of it other than a wage, and take a benefit from it, and that then obviously transposes into the wider business, can affect your safety performance, etc., etc. So there's so many links that you can take than just saying, the usual stuff that we put out of it's, it'll save you £250,000, if you engage in us. No, there's wider things in there. It's accident prevention, it's engagement, it's retention, it's attraction of staff and things. If you do this stuff well, these are the important things to people in work.
I agree with you. I think that I'm just going to go back a step. I think one of the things that stands out is, like, as an organization, of how many people in the UK?
Within our part of the business, about 15,000 people, but globally, if we look at Siemens, you're looking at like 300,000.
Yeah, so let's just use 15,000 people, right? It's hard to create a strategy as an organization that is so individualized that every single person is going to find the exact need for their problem or a challenge. But it's nice that you're listening and trying to support the 15,000 different types of people. I think that's the key part, right?
And that's it. And that was the thing of you realise that one cap doesn't fit all within the process. You can't just say, oh, we're going to do leadership awareness and that will solve the issue. It might do in that area, but it might not in another. And that's why, for us, data was so key in our insights for how we did things. And in fact, doing the data analysis actually helped us shift our focus of where we went. So, yeah, we were reactive. We had these services. So someone came and said, I'm line manager, I'm having a problem. I thought, well, phone the EAP. The person would phone the EAP and then they would still be having the problem, because what we realized through our data analysis and through engaging with our partners that we utilize from a wellbeing point of view was it's actually a very small percentage of the mental ill health, anxiety, stress, burnout, etc. was 100% work related. A lot of it is external, exacerbated by work, or 100% external. Now, phoning the EAP, may solve some of them issues, but when we go out and spoke to people, if their issue is I'm stressed because I've recently been divorced. I'm stressed because I've recently been divorced, so that's stressful enough. And I now have to drop the kids off myself at 9 o'clock in the morning. EAP aren't going to change your shift time for you, so you can start at 9:30. So it was taking the data and going, hang on a second, work might not necessarily be the problem here, but it could be the solution for people, and work could be the little bit that helps that person with the external side. I'm not saying we're going to solve everybody's external issue. That's not what I'm saying. But having the ability and having managers and leaders who are open to conversations, listen, and actively show a caring element is huge for these people, because ultimately you end up either losing the person or they go off anyway. So it benefits both sides to keep in work.
Yeah, and that leads me into the leadership bit, which I'm going to ask in a second. But Fernando's asked the question: do you have like a health score? What's your scoring system in regards to well-being or health?
Yeah, so overall, we have a work well-being score within a global survey. Actually, it's going through at the moment, and that allows you to go down to team level, department level, etc. And we've not necessarily done it at a UK level in terms of hey, how's everybody feeling, or what approach might work best for X, Y, and Z. But what we looked at was initially is people's understanding of engagement, people's understanding or people's feeling of how the business views well-being, people's understanding of once we've spoken to them about the strategy of how that is going to positively or not may affect the their approach to things. So we took sort of smaller nuances, I would say, of scores to help us tailor little parts of the business and try and put things in place where it was needed. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, we do globally. It's part of a global survey, and that can come right the way down. But then we try and couple that with specifics around the strategy, people's knowledge, people's engagement, people's interactions, relationships, etc., just to give us a little bit more of an insight into how are these things actually landing, before and after scores, understanding and things like that.
Yeah, actually understand. Yeah, it's not just a one-off score, is it? It's
No.
learn from that score. Now, before I get into the leadership part and the management kind of responsibilities, or how they're involved in well-being and helping people thrive is probably a better term. I want to look at the things you've been doing. So we've spoken about data, we've spoken about kind of how you're gathering that. From that, what have you been doing? What have you been doing from that in regards to the strategy?
Yeah, so a big part of it will be the leadership side that we'll come on to. But another part of what we've done, and it is coupled within the leadership side, but we've also tried and push this message out wider, is how can we show that it's not about fixing the individual when they're broke. It's not about waiting for that crisis point. It is that how can we be proactive as a business, and how can you be proactive as an individual? And self-care is important. Organizational care is essential. You've got to have both elements within there. Otherwise, both won't work. But we worked with our EAP provider, our occupational health provider, to do educational pieces on how we can utilize these services proactively. So occupational health, I've come in and spoke about the processes, the referrals, when people can come in and things. And it's not all about waiting for somebody to be sick and then you refer them into occupational health. You can use it as a proactive tool if someone is maybe struggling a little bit, or there's pressures coming and things. And then we look at a wider reasonable adjustments policy as well that's tied into that. So what can we do to change as a business, and also how can we use a workplace action plan to discuss with you changes you can make and changes we can make as a business as well. So really taking it from that huge sort of big subject matter that people are just like, oh, does it affect me, is it not, and try to really bring it down to that individual level and say, here's things that we can give you that you can use proactively. So EAP service provider that we utilise, we moved away from one app and engaged further in another that allows people to do daily checks, weekly checks on themselves, mood scores, these type of things, and then it suggests improvements and tailored solutions that person can follow as well. Simple things like making sure that the information is available when people want it. So really focused on our SharePoint site, making it user friendly. It was a bit of a information dump, I think is the only way I can put it. So you couldn't go on and find what you wanted to find. So really, there's an employees hub, there's a men's hub, there's a women's hub, there's links to other parts of the business, diversity, inclusion, HR, everything. So if you're looking for things, it's there in one place for you. And if you want more information, hey, here's my phone number, here's Jonathan's phone number, etc. And really just try and make it a simple process for people to find the information quickly when they want it. Another part that we did was with EAP. We did, and I think it turned out to be quite important when we spoke to people. Actually, was we did road shows with our EAP provider. So they went round to speak about what they can do, but also what they can't do. So people would be phoning up, and you you would be getting clinically assessed. You would be speaking to someone before. You know, people phone up and just think, well, I'll phone up and have some counselling sessions. No, you're clinically assessed. You don't need counselling sessions, but there's some self-help stuff. But then that would give a perception that, well, EAP is rubbish because they just fobbed me off. And it was like, no, hang on. It's not. They've decided that that's the right approach for you, and we needed to get that message out there as well to people. So, you know, we weren't just getting people engaging with it once and then thinking, well, I didn't get what I wanted out of it, so therefore no good. No, actually, there are other ways to get the solution that you want from it. It's not always straight in and speaking to a counsellor, for example. So we did a lot of road shows as well with people. And then we have looked at it from, okay, if our statistics are showing us we have a UK problem, we will look at that centrally, but then we'll try and drive down through the whys locally and then offer solutions, external solutions, etc., that people can call upon for their specific issues as well. So it isn't just this one umbrella approach coming from us, sat in our ivory towers, telling everyone that this will fix all your problems. No, actually, there's little, you know, workshops that you can do locally as well.
Yeah.
For your specific issue on your site, or your potential issue that your data and your people are showing, telling you.
I like how it's data driven and data led. You're listening, you're making decisions off of that. You're trying to get to the people on the ground as well as the people in the offices to make them engaged as well. And I wrote down, when you kind of first started talking, I wrote down comms, because it's the wellbeing strategy, like the organization size of what you guys are. The biggest challenge is getting everybody to understand, especially when there isn't a difference between office-based people who are in front of their SharePoint or their intranet, to the people who are on the ground who don't have access to a phone sometimes, or that element of communication. How do you get them to understand what you're doing, how you can support them, and that they are supported as well? And then also being able to do some of the well-being nice to have stuff, which really benefits their knowledge and education and that kind of stuff. And I think it sounds like you're listening and then approaching it from that point.
Yeah, like I say, it's not the approach of, we're going to tell you how we're going to fix all your ills. No, we're going to come and listen. And we got out there, and we got out in as many different ways as we can. Like I say, just simply taking our leaflets, taking our information, setting a computer up with a screen in a canteen, and just standing there all day for people just to come in and out past the tea machine and go, oh, is that what you got? You know, oh, we're here to discuss wellbeing. Oh. And then just getting out and having conversations, to actually going and joining in team briefs, town hall meetings. You know, we did a huge event in Manchester Siemens. You know, we had a wellbeing section there, right? You know, with you know, smoothie bikes and massage chairs and all these type of things all there, and it was engaged with massively by employees and their families who could come to this event. So yeah, it's looking at all the ways that you can put yourself out there, and then looking past that and going, okay, how do I get to this group of people as well? And sometimes it is that boots on the floor. And I think one of the next phases now is, which we're looking at, is how do we actually get our wellbeing community working correctly as well. So we have wellbeing champions. You know, we have some that are doing it great. We have others, you know, other areas that are waiting for us to give them things. And it's almost making sure that we've got the right people in them roles, and they understand the expectations as well, and that they're equipped to deliver the message for the local environment as well. I think we've made the mistake of just having wellbeing champions in the past, and then just going, okay, well, what do you want? And they go, oh, can we have a gym? No. Oh, well, you know, and we've just gone about it the wrong way. So yeah, we're trying, wellbeing champion training and making sure that they're aware of the stuff that we offer and the approach and the strategy that we're trying to take, and that they commit to do things as well. They commit to coffee mornings, wellbeing chats, deliver whatever it may be, a fact sheet or something, but the message is coming from different voices and different faces. It is also important to keep the traction going and to break the monotony of just hearing me and Jonathan telling the same story probably over and over again.
And hopefully somebody easily accessible as well. And as you said, as you branch down into such a large organization, you're going to need those people who are banging the drum, being there as a support, trying to maintain that throughout, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to be there to escalate if needs be, to tell us further information and data and stories that they're seeing that might be happening in their area, to share that wider with the wider community, so people can say, well, I'll look out for that maybe, or well, that's not too dissimilar from what we're doing and we did this, and things, and instead of it being a sort of totally reactive of, once a month we'll sit down and we'll just ask for a few things and we'll stick a poster on the wall and we're done. Or we'll have a fruit day on a Wednesday and we're done, sort of thing. It's
bigger than that, right?
Yeah, all important things still, because people realise if you take the fruit away, I'll tell you that. So I'm not saying
and I've always been the same, right? Like it's a nice thing to be able to provide, right? And everybody's got a different challenge or a different goal, and different need for their own well-being. So those things can be a real nice benefit. Look, I want to get into leadership, and I think that's going to take up a bit of time. I'm very aware of kind of not spending forever on it. Where do you fit your leadership and management, education? How are you helping them make sure that people are thriving and well and proactive, all that kind of stuff? So what are you doing there?
So it's a key element for us now. It's sort of one of the biggest workshop pushes that we are currently doing within our business. So again, getting out and speaking and doing surveys, speaking with leaders. There's a general feeling that of being uncomfortable when people are saying that they've got a mental health problem and that, oh God, well, I can't deal with that. I need to just push you to somebody else. And it's, and the leaders that we had didn't feel equipped to have them conversations, to deal with those things. They sort of thought, okay, well, I'll just, like I alluded to earlier, I'll just refer you to EAP then, and I've done my job side of things. And sort of said, yeah, we get it. We acknowledge that's how you feel, and that you don't feel confident that you can have these conversations. You're worried you might upset the person, say the wrong thing or whatever. But it was actually scaling it back. So first thing we did was put a leadership pack together for our like a manager's leadership pack. So they've got something they can refer to with different scenarios, documentation, and links to the services that we have. And the second part was sitting with them and saying, look, we don't expect you to be psychologists. We don't expect you to fix everybody's problems, but we expect you to be human, kind, and listen. And that's all we're asking. And that's quite often all the employees are asking for, not just to be listened to. So we do a workshop now. It's like half a day workshop with leaders across the country that focuses on that. Focuses on almost saying everything's there at your hand for you. Let's just help you understand how to utilize it, listen to people, hold the conversations. If someone comes to you and says that they're having an issue, discuss with them first and foremost, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to help you? Have these conversations, be a kind, listening ear for these people. Coupled within that, we also invite we've invited our EAP, our occupational health providers. They've provided us with a video recording that we can put in about how leaders can use the services that we have. So EAP, etc. Leaders can refer people into EAP, directly if needs be, as a management referral. Obviously through occupational health. We discussed earlier about using that more proactively, not waiting for somebody to go off sick before you refer them to occupational health. Someone's coming, okay, well, what reasonable adjustments can we make? Well, we can ask these conversations, we can ask these points rather, and have that conversation with occupational health, and put that person there and try to keep them in work. So leaders have been vital, and are vital for the process and for the proactive element of that process. If leaders can speak openly about well-being, that's key as well. And again, I'm lucky that we are a bit of an open door on that one, that we have senior leaders that will share their stories and share their journeys of well-being and openly discuss that, I may look all right, but, I've not been in the past, or I'm not currently, and we can share them as storyboards for people. So break that sort of barrier down of us and them, and then bring it back down to a human level. Ultimately, Rich, we're dealing with people. We want to keep people safe, and that's safe in work through health and safety, safe in work through well-being, through our interactions, through work design, through workloads, etc. Performance. That's where we want to get to, and leaders are tasked with that every day, on top of everything else that they're tasked with, and you have to recognise that, and you have to discuss that with your leaders. That look, we understand that as a team leader, you're asked to do everything, and now we're asking you to do potentially something else. We understand it. If we can keep your workers in work, keep them thriving, keep them developing, it's a win-win situation for both sides.
Yeah. I think a couple of things I've heard there. First thing is around the signposting, or the ability to listen and not fix, or the ability to kind of listen and then not judge, and done well, not judge, and then supported into where they can go, and allowing them to understand that you're not there to fix. And I think that's where the pressure is, and where the uncomfortability is. Well, I don't know how to fix this person. Well, you're not there to fix
them. You're not there to. No, we do have other things. But if we can get early intervention, because people feel psychologically safe to speak up and speak to their leaders and speak to the organisation as a whole. If we can get early intervention, like I say, we're not at the point of fix. We're at the point of proactively prevention. So if people feel confident that, hey, do you know what, I feel like I'm slipping, or I'm having issues externally even, and I feel confident if I go to speak to my line manager, they will listen. And okay, again, you might not be able to fix the external issue that the person's having, but you might be able to just make a reasonable adjustment in work that helps that external position for the person. Ultimately, we're in work to work. We're in work to do a job. It's not about just saying I'm struggling with mental health, therefore I can't do my job. It's not about saying that that's the discussion that you want to have. It's about, okay, well, it's having a person-to-person conversation with someone, adult to adult, and saying, okay, well, what can we do collectively, and then reviewing that ongoing, instead of just saying phone the EAP, for example. that becomes a reactive approach.
Exactly. And I guess the other question I wanted to ask is around that. The training, you obviously trained them around how to support, but we know what is 80% of managers go into management without any management training, and this might be throwing you under the bus. And a question maybe which is maybe moving to the L&D kind of space and that team there. But how much management training are your managers being given to be a better manager, which then deals with some of the, not the well-being challenges, but the workload challenges, the way they're doing the work, the time boundary setting, kind of helping them kind of set personal goals, outside goals, self-development, all that kind of stuff, which is also huge for personal well-being and thriving, right? So what's the training look like for managers as well?
I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect, but Siemens shifted their approach a number of years back into how managers hold conversations, that the type of mindset, we want this growth mindset, we want this, openness to change, and there are leadership programs in place within Siemens that managers are, if you're a people manager, you are on this leadership program. There's fact sheets, webinars that you join, online sessions, discussion forums, worksheets that you can work through, lots of skill-based elements within that. And our HR, just people and organization elements as well, the strategy is that fixed on the people element, and making sure that the managers have the ability to thrive, and then equipping them with the tools to do that. So I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm not saying that they walk straight into a manager's role and they are the bee's knees of management. But again, the business has done a lot of work to provide that structure. So again, everything's there for you. You're equipped to be able to go away and look into that, understand psychological safety, understand how your demand here may affect the person down here element, how your decision processes may affect somebody 3 years down the line. It's there within a wider leadership program within Siemens. So for us, perhaps anyone that's listening to this might think, well, that's easy for you because you're Siemens, you're a massive business. We're lucky we have that, but I've worked for smaller businesses that can do that on a face-to-face program. You know that someone's new into a management thing. So what do? We equip them with induction processes, follow-up processes that allow them to go, oh, okay, I know where that is now. I know where I can go for that information. I understand that impact that it can have and things. So there are other ways that it can be done.
You just don't spend so long doing it. There were need, because obviously ultimately the manager has such an impact. It goes back to that age-old saying is people don't leave organizations, they leave managers, right?
Yeah.
And so actually it's such a vital part to teach them. So although you've got 15,000 people to deal with just in the UK, and you're going of that, and I can't imagine what your leadership number is. You're just doing it on a wider scale. For the smaller scales, you do it on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a smaller amount of people to deliver that amount of work.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's about having them different approaches, like I said.
Yeah.
And if we're sort of labeling it well-being on its own, it is trying to actually show it as it's no. Yes, well-being is maybe the title, but it is about people thriving, and that thriving is linked to, like I said earlier, performance. It is linked to safety. The safety elements of well-being, the outcomes of investigations, etc., incidents. The links are becoming clearer and clearer, I think, across all elements of the business, and performance within the business as well. So that helps you sort of sell the story that it's not just you know, we do some management training, we do this odd training, and it's like the cherry on the top sort of thing. Is, oh, there we go. Wellbeing sits there on top, and that actually no, it's you want sustainable performance within your business.
Mhm.
You want people to thrive, and you want people. Hopefully, we want people to enjoy coming to work and enjoy the interactions that they have in work as well.
Yeah.
And well-being, health and well-being can be a fantastic driver for that.
Yeah, because it's the foundation, isn't it? I mean, people who are healthy and well and feel positive, then you're going to get much better output. So I completely agree.
Exactly. And like I said, you're going to get retention. You're going to get people who will say, I recommend this business.
Yeah.
Gosh, would I come and work for you? Yes, I would. I'd love to come and work for you guys.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's just a benefit on top of the quality of work they're doing because they're performing better.
Yeah. And then that rolls and rolls and rolls.
Exactly. James, look, thank you. I've got one last question for you before we call it a day. Top 3 take-home bits of advice for somebody in an organization looking after or making their wellbeing strategy proactive.
So data, but behind the data, the why. Create the story to get people on board, because that's any cultural change program. If you don't create a story, no one comes along with you. And keep reassessing, keep asking why. Get out in as many different ways as you can and find out what's actually going on within the businesses or within your areas. You know, it's so easy to just put a number of services in place and think we've done it. You've got to challenge your service providers as well of how can you work with us within our strategy. Hey, we want to be proactive. What do you do as well? So
I love it.
I think that was 4, but
yeah, no, I take it. I'm taking it. No, we're good. Thank you. I hope everybody else enjoyed that. Thank you all for joining. Yasmin, didn't get around to saying thank you for joining, and everybody else, thank you for joining and asking some questions. We got another one next week, another session with Lizzie talking about confidence, which as a coach, something which I experience a lot with. So it'd be a really good session to talk about how we to build our own confidence as well. So yeah, if you want to come join that, keep an eye out. That's going live hopefully later on. If I can pull my finger out and get the event up. You managing a business, you know what it's like. Time is of an essence. But James, thank you again for joining me. Yeah, adding such valuable insights as well from a large organisation. But if you stay where you are, everybody else, good to see you all, and take care.